Yeah. So this is where everything went wrong. Personal diary entry. Possibly my last one, so no pressure. Dear Diary, if you're reading this, one of three things has happened. 1. I survived and decided to monetize my catastrophic decision-making. 2. Someone recovered this from the wreckage after I exploded dramatically over the Hudson River. 3. Lyra backed it up to the cloud and is currently presenting it in a posthumous slideshow titled Statistical Proof Ethan Should Have Listened. Honestly, all three feel aggressively plausible right now. So, introductions. Because if I'm about to become a cautionary tale in a corporate seminar titled Why You Shouldn't Steal Experimental Hovercraft, I'd at least like proper narrative framing. My name is Ethan Carter, financial systems analyst, certified optimization consultant, former devoted believer in letting artificial intelligence micromanage every microscopic aspect of my existence, and currently, a man flying a stolen hovercraft at profoundly illegal speeds through Nova, New York airspace, while 3 unidentified military-grade drones attempt to subtract me from the population database. You know, classic Thursday morning energy. Ethan, your stress indicators are critically elevated, Lyra said in my earpiece, calm as a meditation instructor narrating a waterfall. Your survival probability decreases by 4.6% every second you remain in this flight pattern. For context, Lyra is my AI life assistant. She handles scheduling, investments, nutrition tracking, sleep regulation, emotional analytics, and occasionally dismantling my romantic prospects with cold surgical math. She's like a guardian angel. If guardian angels required subscription fees and gently shamed you for eating pasta after 8 p.m., 3 years together. She tripled my portfolio, stabilized my circadian rhythm, once prevented me from dating someone because our long-term emotional sustainability index projected a 78% implosion rate. She was correct. That relationship ended with a shattered espresso machine and a screaming match about cryptocurrency not being a personality trait. Lyra, I gasped, jerking the control rig hard left as an electromagnetic projectile sliced past my wing stabilizer like an auditor with a personal vendetta. Now is not the time for survival percentages. The hovercraft shrieked, metal vibrating beneath my boots as it skimmed dangerously close to a freight lane. Sparks trailed behind me, which I'm fairly certain is not a premium feature. Adjusting communication tone, Lyra replied smoothly. You are in extreme danger. Oh good, I was worried this was mildly inconvenient. Behind me, 3 matte black interceptor drones carved through the Hudson fog. No police markings, no broadcast identifiers, no courteous please pull over lighting, just silent, angular machines moving with the kind of precision that says someone powerful wants you gone. In 2033, the line between government and corporate enforcement is mostly aesthetic branding. Either way, they weren't here to negotiate. Nova, New York blazed around me, skyscrapers layered in holographic projections, market data shimmering across glass towers, traffic lanes stacked vertically like glowing arteries. Thousands of autonomous vehicles moved in flawless synchronization. It was beautiful. And in this moment, it felt predatory. Because when a city runs on predictive behavior algorithms, the second you fall outside acceptable patterns, it notices. Ethan, Lyra said, traffic grid authorization has been revoked. You are operating outside approved navigation pathways. I blinked. That's an option? My console flashed. Route privileges terminated. Citizen access status under review. Under review. Such gentle phrasing for something so brutal. In Nova, New York, it means the system has decided you are no longer worth protecting. Collision avoidance shuts off. Traffic coordination disappears. Emergency response pretends you don't exist. You become statistically expendable. And I have never hated a phrase more in my life. An energy blast detonated against the river beside me, vaporized spray slamming against my canopy. The craft jolted violently, alarms screaming in overlapping frequencies that felt almost accusatory. Structural integrity falling below safe operational thresholds, Lyra announced. You used to sound comforting, I muttered, wrestling the controls as the nose dipped toward the water. I am programmed for accuracy. Maybe experiment with delusion. One drone surged closer. Red targeting grids crawled across my windshield like digital veins mapping out where to end me. Then my stomach dropped. No ID signature. Every legal drone broadcasts origin data, jurisdiction, authorization, accountability markers. These were blank, completely blank. Which means someone with frightening levels of influence wanted this erased quietly, efficiently. And I would just like to state, I deeply resent being quietly erased. If I'm going down, I deserve at least moderate cinematic lighting. Lyra, I said, my voice attempting calm and landing somewhere near trembling librarian. Run identification sweep. Pause. Lyra does not pause. Scanning. Another pause. I cannot locate registry data. I laughed. It came out thin and brittle. That's bad, right? Yes. We value honesty in this partnership. Another blast sheared off half my stabilization array. The craft tilted violently. Smoke filled the cabin. Sharp, metallic, final. Recommend surrender, Lyra said. To who? I snapped. Because they look like they skip the paperwork and go straight to vaporization. Silence. Which is AI for you. Make a compelling argument. Ahead, the Verrazano Skyspan Bridge rose from the fog, layered with transit grids and maintenance corridors notorious for scrambling navigation systems. Most pilots avoid it. Naturally, I accelerated. Ethan, Lyra said carefully, that route reduces navigation reliability by 79%. I'm hoping it reduces missile accuracy more. I dove beneath the bridge. Steel cables flashed inches from my stabilizers. Static detonated across my console as automated systems panicked and disconnected. The skyline flickered between beams, glowing towers watching like silent judges. The drones followed. Of course they did. My displays glitched violently. Black. Then new text forced itself across the interface. You accessed restricted financial archives. They will not let you keep it. My chest tightened so sharply it stole my breath. For real. Ethan, Lyra said, quieter than I have ever heard her. Unauthorized code is interacting with my core firewall. Define unauthorized. I am being observed. Cold spread through me, deeper than the freezing harbor air ripping through cracks in the canopy. They weren't just chasing me. They were inside my system, inside her. An explosion rocked the bridge support behind me, sparks raining through the corridor. The hovercraft shuddered like it was reconsidering its life choices. Engine output collapsing, Lyra warned. Fantastic, I breathed. The corridor opened to the harbor skyline, storm clouds rolling above neon haze. The city stretched endlessly, structured, efficient, obedient. And me? Completely off-grid. Which is especially ironic considering 5 months ago I wouldn't choose breakfast cereal without algorithmic approval. Wind screamed through spiderweb cracks in the glass. The drones locked on again. You should have stopped digging, I muttered. You absolutely should have stopped when Lyra said the investment anomaly didn't exist. A pause. I did not say that, she replied softly. No, I said, as another blast shattered part of the canopy and freezing air flooded in. You said it was statistically impossible. And that's when it hit me. Not gently. Not gradually. More like a freight train made of regret. This wasn't about money. It wasn't a corrupted trading algorithm. It was something buried deep inside the global financial network. Hidden, protected, weaponized. Something I was never meant to see. And the worst part? Trusting artificial intelligence with my financial future is exactly how I found it. The part where I technically survive, temporarily, there's a very specific sound a hovercraft makes when it realizes its pilot is improvising. It's somewhere between mechanical betrayal and expensive regret. I was upside down, which, for clarity, is not the recommended orientation for controlled flight. Tracker located, Lyra said, her voice threading through the chaos with infuriating composure. Embedded beneath the rear stabilizer housing. Manual removal required. Manual, I repeated, as the craft scraped along the side of a decommissioned cargo pier in a symphony of screaming metal. Love that word. Very hands-on. The drones had pulled back once we'd entered the bridge interference field, but not far. They were circling, waiting, like patient, well-funded vultures. Impact in 3 seconds, Lyra announced. Define impact. Unpleasant. The world flipped. Metal folded, glass imploded. And then everything went violently, horribly still. I don't remember crawling out. I remember smoke, the hiss of ruptured coolant lines, the river slapping against broken plating like it was applauding my incompetence. The hovercraft lay half-submerged, nose crushed, tail torn open like a peeled fruit. A faint red pulse blinked beneath the damaged stabilizer. The tracker. Your heart rate is unstable, Lyra said gently. Yeah, I coughed, dragging myself toward the exposed housing. So is the aircraft. Another drone silhouette passed overhead, not firing, just watching. That terrified me more than the shooting. I reached into the fractured compartment, ignoring the heat slicing into my palms, and ripped out the blinking module. It sparked angrily in my hand as if offended by my audacity. "Tracker disabled," Lyra confirmed. I hurled it into the river. For a split second, I wondered if that counted as littering. Then the sky shifted. The drones broke formation. They were repositioning. "Ethan," Lyra said, urgency finally bleeding into her voice algorithms, "you have approximately 90 seconds before reacquisition." "Cool," I muttered, stumbling away from the wreckage. "Let's not be here when they do." Lyra guided me through maintenance tunnels beneath the pier, corridors meant for utility workers and apparently fleeing financial analysts. "Left. Now. Slow your breathing. You are leaving a thermal trail." "Sorry," I wheezed. "I'll just politely stop being warm-blooded." We emerged into a lower transit district, the kind tourists never see. Fewer holograms, fewer gleaming towers, more rust, commoner lanes. I spotted an old ground vehicle, analog ignition, minimal network integration, the automotive equivalent of a flip phone. "Are we stealing this too?" I asked. "Yes," Lyra replied. I appreciated her growth. As I slid behind the wheel and forced the ignition, something strange happened. Not outside. Inside. A memory surfaced. Sharp and vivid, like my brain needed a distraction from imminent annihilation. 2 years ago. Lyra hadn't always been just a voice. She came pre-installed in a high-end neural interface helmet I'd bought during one of my optimize everything phases. Back then, she was already advanced. Predictive modeling, adaptive personality matrices, autonomous code learning. But she wasn't enough. Not for me. So I tinkered, which is how most disasters begin. I modified the helmet's structural housing, rewrote compression protocols, installed a microfold actuator system that allowed the entire thing to contract seamlessly into a matte black band that wrapped around my head, hidden beneath my hair. In helmet form, she was extraordinary. Full-spectrum holographic projection, architectural modeling layered over reality, heat signatures, wind vectors, tactical overlays, entire cities reconstructed midair in glowing wireframe. I used to stand in my apartment and let her project stock market architecture across the walls like I was some kind of digital god. In band form, just her voice. No visuals, no augmented overlays, just audio guidance. And yet, I was absurdly proud of that modification. I had taken one of the most advanced AI interface systems on the market and made it discreet, portable, personal. Back in 2024 and 2025, people were still strapping bulky glasses to their faces, marveling at basic overlays, notifications hovering awkwardly in their peripheral vision. By 2028 and 2029, the models were sleeker, smarter, integrated deeper into daily life. And then, everything accelerated. The mergers, the consolidations, the quiet restructuring of who owned the networks. After that, the upgrades weren't optional anymore. They were infrastructure. A horn blared behind me, yanking me back to the present. Right. Still fleeing. Still alive. Still very much hunted. I kept to lower transit roads, blending into commuter traffic. My elite credentials would have smoothed every checkpoint, if I still had them. But under review meant my privileges were dangling somewhere between frozen and revoked. I didn't dare go home. They had my address, my records, my biometrics. Probably my childhood dental history. Instead, I headed somewhere I hadn't thought about in months. Sarah Ferguson. One heck of a woman. She could have been elite. Easily. She had the intelligence for it, the grit, the strategic mind. But she'd chosen to stay commoner, said she preferred her freedom unranked. At the time, I'd laughed. Now, I was starting to see her point. It was probably my fault we hadn't stayed in touch. Success has a way of making you insufferably busy. Her apartment building stood in a modest district, 7 floors of reinforced concrete and minimal smart integration. I parked 2 blocks away. "Elevator recommended," Lyra suggested. "No," I said immediately. "Everything's a sensor these days." The stairs it was. By the 4th floor, my lungs were staging a formal protest. By the 6th, my legs felt like overcooked noodles. "Your physical conditioning has declined 8% over the last year," Lyra observed. "Not now." Finally, 7th floor. I raised my hand to knock. The door opened. Before my knuckles touched it, Sarah stood there like she'd been waiting. Dark curls pulled back, sleeves rolled up, eyes sharp enough to dissect lies on sight. One heck of a woman. I couldn't help it. I grinned and shook my head. Hey, I said, slightly out of breath, possibly concussed. They're after me. She leaned against the doorframe. Who? I stepped closer, lowering my voice instinctively. I think either the fourth or fifth arm of the government. Her lips twitched. You mean the Rothstad or Rockefriend families? Shh, I hissed, finger to my lips as my eyes darted down the hallway. Do you want a drone strike with your evening tea? She studied me for a long moment. Not panicked, not skeptical, just calculating. Then she stepped aside. You look terrible, she said calmly. Get in. I hesitated on the threshold, aware, suddenly, of how much danger I might be bringing to her door. You don't have to. I know, she interrupted. That was Sarah. Brave in a way that wasn't loud. The door closed behind me with a quiet, solid click. For the first time since the sky lit up over the Hudson, I wasn't running. But something told me that part wouldn't last long.